The Outdoor Gibbon Podcast. Welcome. Yep, so we're now back on track with our European theme and looking at different hunting styles throughout Europe. In this podcast, we will be talking to Julia. She is a Polish hunter, but now resides most of the time in Sweden. But we're going to have a look at how hunting differs in those two parts of the world, really. I think we're going to spend most of the time talking about Poland and just look at a bit of Sweden at the same time. Anyway, where are we in the year? Well, we're now in October and the seasons are all well underway. The weather's still dismal. I think it's going to be a bit of an odd year, to be honest. But on the flip side, we have some great news. The Outdoor Gibbon Podcast, I should say, has now secured a sponsor. More to follow on that. But that's hopefully going to give us the ability to get some more airtime, get these podcasts out at least 4 per month if I can manage it. I'm already trying for 3 to 4 at the moment, but hopefully that should keep a steady flow going. We've got some really exciting guests already recorded and a lot more in the pipeline. So hopefully it should keep you all interested and entertained. I'm not going to waffle on too much at the beginning of this one, and we're just going to dive in and have a chat with Julia. Hello and welcome to the Outdoor Gibbon Podcast. Today I am joined by Julia, who is originally a Polish hunter, but she now lives in Sweden. So we're going to have a little look at two different parts of Europe and how the hunting changes in both of those. Hello, how you doing?
Hi everyone. I'm doing fine, but I'm missing hunting a little bit because it was not so much hunting in last month. Because it's a break in the season, I would say, for most of the animals that you can hunt here in Sweden.
Your bird season starts very soon, doesn't it? End of the month or something like that?
Yeah, and you can also hunt pigeons now, and wild boars, like field protection. But other than that, we need to wait for the rollback season to be back again here in Sweden, and so on. And then, of course, I'm also looking forward to go to Poland in September for red deer route.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, so let's go to my usual question for any hunter that comes on the show. How did you get involved? Was it something of family tradition? Have you come to hunting differently from a different angle? Far away.
Well, probably I will not be original because it is a family thing. Family tradition.
Cool.
So my grandpa is a hunter, and then my father and his brother followed. And then, when I was very little, I also, when it was my father's time to take care of me, he wanted to go hunting. He basically just was taking the small dwarf with him. And
fantastic.
That's how I fell in love with hunting also. And, from that to situations when my father wanted to go alone. He couldn't because I was crying so much to go. So so it was obvious later that I also need to get a license and be a hunter.
So as a small child, were you a quiet child, or were you quite noisy and your father missed many animals because you made too much noise?
I think maybe I was not noisy, but I was very curious, of course, like many small kids, I guess. So I was asking many questions.
Okay.
And also how my grandpa described hunting when we were hunting together. When I was small, it was or I was asking many questions, or I was sleeping and snoring.
Curl up in the high seat and go to sleep because it's cold, or it's an early morning or a late night.
Yeah.
No, I've had friends that similar situations, and then you speak to them and they say, I was told I was too noisy for a deer stalker or things like that. But I suppose if you're is Poland very much hunting sitting in a high box or a high seat, or is it a lot of walk and stalk?
I think it depends. You can do both, and it really depends on the person. What do you prefer?
Okay.
sometimes maybe sitting in a high seat is seen more like activity for old guys, you know.
Okay.
But it really depends, I think, on a hunter.
It always seems strange because obviously I've traveled through Europe and yeah, high seats are predominant. They're on the corners of lots of fields and things like that. It's very much they're there in public view. In the UK, they're always hidden. Keep them out of sight. Don't let people see them because it just seems we're almost embarrassed to say that we're hunters at the moment. And I think it's great that the European, it's still part of the just part of nature. You expect to see a hide or a high seat somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's actually funny that you're mentioning high seas specifically, because I think it was this week or last week that there was a big discussion in like government also connected that high seas should like be taxed, or like should be seen some buildings, you know, some like kind of a building or something. Like
really, so
yeah,
they want to put a tax on a high seat. That's
yeah,
crazy.
or like I couldn't like follow exactly, because it's a lot of like now talking on like green people, you know, about that. But it was like that every time someone wants to build a high seat, you should get a permission first.
Oh, good grief! Wow. That's
So,
crazy.
you know, we are also fighting with like a green organization influence and stuff like that right now. So
I suppose it's just we probably don't see. I suppose we don't see as much of it in the UK as you guys suffer, because obviously you've got different groups doing the same sort of things that we're giving you the same amount of grief over hunting and all the rest of it. But at least it's still very much, it is still ingrained into tradition, and the villages, and everybody still understands that the hunter will go out, do crop protection and things like that.
yeah, I think it is like that. That like typical people from a village, like things hunting is normal, like having, you know, cows and chickens and stuff like that is normal, and it's normal that you keep it and you kill it and you eat it, right?
Yeah.
But I have one hunting ground close to a very big city, Gdańsk, which is in north of Poland, and it became very popular to move a little bit out of Gdańsk, you know, for the city people. And they move from the city and they are complaining about everything, about farmers, about the dust because the tractor is driving, about cows mooing, and about hunters also. And there were situations where we were like attacked by someone just by, you know, walking
Really?
by
Wow.
with a rifle. So I think in this way, world is getting a little bit crazy.
It does seem that the Western world has become, well, I think we've talked about it on so many podcasts. It's that disconnect that the city folk just think, well, it came up on another podcast that somebody's saying you don't have to kill it, you can just go to the supermarket and buy it. And it's like, really, you're that disconnected that meat that's on a plastic tray has never walked around on 4 legs or 2 legs before. It's like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and it's sad, you know, on the other hand, that that so many people think this way.
Yeah, and I suppose I just wonder whether the Western world, because we've removed all of that and we've made everything so easy, people don't have to, there is no consequence as to, I'm going to eat this piece of steak or this burger. Oh, it came from a shop. It didn't live. It didn't have a heartbeat. They just switch that off, don't they?
Yeah, I didn't do anything bad. I just, you know, paid them and have eaten it, right? So
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's just it's interesting to hear that obviously, yeah, this is spreading not just in the UK as much, but places like Poland, it's there. I know it's in Sweden as well. I think the guys in Germany are having troubles, France as well. So it's not just a UK based problem. It's everywhere. So anyway, let's keep going on about back to your hunting roots. So what was your first thing you've hunted?
Me myself, it will be a wild boar.
You took okay. Boar. Wow,
and
fantastic.
It actually was quite a big tusker, quite a big male. So yeah. And this is a nice memory because I actually was also with my father back then in the morning, and a really nice memory, and it was of course a lot of emotions.
I was going to say that's something to take, isn't it? Taking a big tusker boar, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so yeah, and then a second was a red deer hind. That's what I remember.
So I think Eastern Europe has some fantastic. The red deer over there are a fair size. They always looking at the pictures. They seem to put our Scottish stags to shame. They've got these absolutely. There must be something good in the ground that they get hold of because they have absolutely huge sets of antlers.
Yeah, well, of course, it depends in which part of the country you are in Poland, because there are, for example, mountain stags that are many. I mean, in general, there's like a big population of red deer, for example, but they are not so strong. And then you have another mountains where they are very strong. And it's the same like in the northern part of Poland. You can have populations that are really, really impressive, and then populations that are that's just usual red stags there.
No problem. And I'm assuming roebuck as well. They're sort of pretty good on they develop good heads over there as well.
Yeah, but it also depends where and what kind of grounds and so on. So like for example, I have a hunting ground with a very good stags, but poor. I can say poor rollbacks. So
yeah. Okay, that's interesting because it's usually wherever the land is, whatever they're feeding on. If they get the right minerals, you obviously get they grow good heads, because if there's plenty of food, they can put that energy into producing very good antlers. So that's interesting that your roe are poor and your stags are good.
Yeah.
Very good. So just carrying on from that. So is the hunting? Do you have to, right? So in the UK, we can get permission to go shooting on a piece of land and that's it. Is it similar to that? You can get local farmers to grant you permission, or is it done through syndicates, or how does it work in Poland?
No, it is a bit different. First of all, you to become a hunter, there's quite a way.
Okay.
I think it's the most complicated in Europe, actually, and probably over the world, to be honest, because I also have met so many hunters from so many different countries, and they are all making huge eyes when I'm talking about that.
Okay. Well,
maybe Germany is a little bit similar with that, but I think it's more difficult in Poland because you need to find a hunting club.
Okay.
Which is like a team, of hunters together, and you need to say there, hey, I would like to become a hunter. And then in a perfect situation, they say, oh yes, of course, no problem, we will help you. But often actually it's like, we don't know you, and so on. So it's not that easy. The first step is not easy to find a hunting club where you can get like a 1-year internship. I would call it.
Right.
But well, let's say you got into that hunting club for the internship, so they need to fix the papers and so you are officially an intern in a Polish hunting association.
Right. Okay.
And then you are supposed to get a hunter that will be your mentor.
Okay.
And will teach you during the year many different things. And then during that time you also go for like a course. Theoretical and practical course that is made by Polish Hunting Association.
Okay.
And after that, you have 3 exams. And it's for the I would say it's a basic hunting license that you can get, because we have different types, and I will explain that in a moment.
Okay.
But well, you have a theoretical exam where you have 100 questions.
Right.
And it's both safety, which is the most important, of course, and then you have biology of animals and all of stuff. And then we have also in Poland a traditional old Polish hunting language.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's a language that actually normal people cannot understand. So we don't call legs of animal legs, but we have different special names for each species and so on.
Oh, okay,
For many
right.
things, yeah. So you also need to know that. And then if you pass that theoretical exam, you go into a theoretical oral exam, where you have to answer questions. You have like a commission of guys in front of you and you're asked questions. If you pass those two, great. You're going for a practical exam at the shooting range. And then you need to both shoot with your rifle and with the shotgun.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you are done with all of that, of course, you need to be checked by well, they need to check if you are, you haven't been in jail and stuff like that, if everything in your papers is all right.
Okay.
And then you can send like an application to the police to get a license. For a weapon. But you need to also be a member of this Polish Hunting Association. So it's complicated at the beginning.
I was going to say, yes, there's lots of boxes to tick just to be able to get be able to get a rifle at the end of the day as well.
And then you get a basic hunting license.
Okay.
Which allows you to hunt everything, but not trophy males. So not stag, not a buck, not a Mathlun male, and so on. So everything that has a trophy, like a horn trophy,
you can't hunt.
Trophy, you cannot hunt.
Wow. Okay.
And with that license, you need to hunt for minimum of 3 years. And after that 3 years, you can go for another course, pass another exam.
Yep.
And there you focus on like how the animals grow the trophy, about how to recognize the age of an animal before you take a shot, and so on. And you learn about stuff like that, and then you can get a trophy license, like I would call it. So then you are basically finally allowed to hunt everything.
That's crazy. But I suppose that actually means that people have to actually prove that they actually want to go out and hunt. To do that 3 years of hunting the female of the species and the non-trophy. So does that mean you could hunt like a yearling button buck or something like that doesn't have antlers on it? Or is that all male deer are not allowed?
Yeah, well, you can basically hunt I don't know how you call it, but calf or a lamb.
Yes.
Or but you can, as long as it becomes 2 years old, for example, you are not allowed.
Okay. So as soon as it's showing promise and has little horns appearing, no more hunting. Wow. So that's crazy. And that's 3 years you have to do just hunting the sort of the non-medal species before you can then go back and do another exam. That's really good though, because that just means that everybody doesn't go out with a rifle and shoot the biggest buck or the biggest stag they can find. They have to actually go and do something.
And as you can guess, we need to learn all of that, like how to distinguish the age and how like distinguish the forms of the trophy and so on, because we are controlled for that as hunters. So if you I think it's similar a bit in Germany also, but so if you go out, you have a permission to shoot a stag, for example, that is not very old. So then you need to know that you cannot like shoot younger than 10 years old, and you also need to know the form of the trophy. That it cannot have crowns on both sides and stuff like that. I don't want to go into details because it's a lot of details.
No, it's really interesting because there'll be a lot of people listening to this, and now I understand. It almost shows why we get such a huge number of Europeans wanting to come to the UK to hunt, because it's so easy. We can take you out, put you behind a rifle and say, shoot that one. And there's no questions. You just squeeze a trigger and that's it. You could have an imperial stag on the hill kind of thing.
Yeah. So in Poland, hunting is a little bit stressful sometimes. I would say you cannot relax fully and just, sit and see, oh, that's a nice stag or a nice roebuck. I would like to hunt it down. because you need to think about all of that. Is it for sure 6 years old if it's a roebuck? Is it old enough? Okay, or maybe it's 4, or it. And then you really need to be good, spend a lot of time out, so, and be more confident about how the body change of an animal with age and so on. Because if you take a shot and it occurs that you have shot the wrong animal, and you go to that commission, because we have like a commissions of the trophy commission every year,
right,
where we bring our trophies. They check what kind of permission we had and so on, if we follow the general rules. And if you do something wrong, you get punished.
Wow.
And for example, you cannot hunt trophy animals, or specifically if it was a roebuck, for example, you cannot hunt roebucks for the next 2 years if you did wrong.
Good grief. Wow. Really? But that really will make sure that the hunter then is very responsible and will only do what they're supposed to do, and they just don't go out and just shoot just for the sake of shooting. They're taking time to understand what's on the ground.
Yes, exactly. And it really learns patience, and that even if you see a medal, beautiful, huge stag in front of you, well, you just cannot take it down always, or
Yeah. So you were saying about sort of certain like stags with proper crowns on either side. Is there another? Do you get a permit that would allow you to hunt that, or is that just always off limits? Or do you have to apply for that?
So coming back to how it is organized in Poland. So if you are a hunter, you join a hunting club.
Yep.
And the hunting club is renting some hunting grounds, and we get the rent for 10 years. Every 10 years we need to redo it.
Okay.
And then of course there are inventories made by state forests and hunters and so on together every year. And then there are management plans done for every year and for 10 years. So
Wow.
you need to meet every year's plan, and also how the populations should look like in 10 years also, so it's everything connected. So according to the inventories and so on, the hunting club for the specific hunting ground gets a number of animals that should be hunted down for every year, for like a hunting year.
Fantastic. But that must help with the population control. Obviously, if you've got everybody can hunt the breeding stock, your population levels must be well managed, and you're not just shooting all the trophies.
No, yeah. So so every hunting club gets the exact number for each hunting season, that for this hunting ground we should for example hunt down 30 red deer, and in this, for example, 10 red stags, 15 hinds and five cows.
Okay.
And then also in this red stags, we know that we can hunt. Did I say 10? Yeah. Then, for example, we know that we can hunt down 7 younger guys, younger stags, and 3 old ones.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. So, and it looks like that for each species. And then we know, like, for this year we have that much to manage, and it works both ways also. If we not manage to hunt down all the numbers, and it happens few years in a row, we can get punished again as a hunting club by the state forests,
because you've not met your targets. Yes.
Yeah, because they also, there is a browsing and pressure from the deer species and so on, so they also want to have the population controlled.
Wow. It works, obviously, and it means that your population is well managed, the numbers are good, and actually it would indicate that the country has an exact idea of the number of animals that are actually moving on the ground.
Well, of course we would like to think that.
Right.
But I think it's impossible to know the exact numbers, never.
No,
So,
exactly. But
it's like more or less, let's say, right? So
it's probably better than some parts of the UK, for example. We have no real idea because England doesn't really keep any records. It keeps some records, but there is no real record taking of how many hunters have shot how many deer. It's very difficult to actually really give a full population. We can estimate because you'll have guys out doing counting and saying, well, I've seen X number of roe deer in this area. So they kind of can then do some statistics and some maths and go, well, there must be this many deer. But the numbers are they're just guesses, really. Scotland's much better because we have to give targets back. So every year what we shoot, we have to give that information back, and there is a bit of a record to it. But again, it's still up to the person giving that back. But if all the hunting clubs that you say are working with their records, then you've obviously got a much better handle on what game you've got on the ground, which is good.
Yeah, and we need to do that, like every one of us gets a paper with exactly like a permission with exact number of what we can hunt down as individuals, and we need to write everything down. Everything needs to be documented officially and so on, because if even if the hunting club still have some deer to be hunted down, for example, but you don't have it on your permission, and you hunt one down, you're a poacher.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So it's really a lot of also bureaucracy behind all of that, and like a lot of papers and so on. But I actually think on that side, it's good. Yeah, we have some idea what is happening in the forest.
So you mentioned poachers there. Do you have a big poaching problem in Poland?
Well, in my region where I have grown up and hunted, no. And basically, maybe you could have heard some old stories about that, more like that. But there are parts of Poland where it is actually quite a big problem. And no one talks about that aloud, I think. But if you when I was a student, for example, I was traveling a lot to different parts of Poland to hunt with my friends. And then I have realized, wow, okay, that's actually still a thing in some places.
I suppose at the end of the day, if people see that a deer is out there and it will feed the family for a period of time, to take a deer it's free food, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, that can be a thing. Or, I think some people found some illegal income in that also.
Oh, okay, right. That's a shame. Yeah. It's never good. It always puts a downer on everything you do right when somebody just comes in and breaks the rules and just goes, well, we'll just do it our way and we'll ignore what's happening. So we've obviously spoken about the deer and boar and things like that, but do you also, in your hunting clubs, does that allow you to go out and hunt things like pheasant, partridge, whatever other, grouse and things like that?
Well, yes, but like a small game is not. You cannot hunt it in whole Poland. I mean, it's just not there. Like in my hunting grounds, I have basically big game.
Okay.
So I'm not maybe an expert to talk about that much, because I can only hunt small game if I go to visit some friends in another part of Poland.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
But yes, you can do that, and also it works the same way. There is some amount that the hunting club can hunt for a hunting season, and then you get from your hunting leader a paper, and you know how many ducks or pheasants you can take home. So
it's such a different world, because obviously, you've got free reign. You go out with your shotgun and you crack on here, and unless it's a shoot that's organized, and then you've got a certain bag limit. But if you're just walking around the countryside, and for example, one of the farms I've got, you can just walk around the hedgerows, and if it flies, you can take a shot and the dog will bring it back, and I've got a pheasant for the day, and nobody questions me or anything like that. It's just the way it is.
So, yeah, I have learned that for sure in most of the countries, hunters have much more freedom than Polish hunters, I would say. in that
Yeah,
way.
I think everywhere is slightly different. Obviously, I was talking to a chap from Germany the other day, and it's still very regulated. So I think every part of Europe is different. Every part of the world is different. Like the Americans, it's completely regulated. They have tags, tickets, you name it. There's a certain number of ducks they can take, or they can only take a specific deer. And there's some of these tags are once in a lifetime. So realistically, you only get one opportunity to go and find that species, and you may search your entire life to try and get that big bull elk. But hey, that's just the way it is. I know I've had a few now saying to me they'd love to come over to Scotland because, hang on a minute, I can go after a bull elk that's going to be maybe a once in a lifetime, but I can come and shoot a Scottish stag. It's pretty much the same thing. It might be a bit smaller, but I'd rather come and do that with you. So it is crazy. But that then obviously being regulated as you are, it does have its benefits. Now, you were saying once you've done your hunting license, that allows you to go out and get a firearm. Is that only one firearm, or can you, like Germany, is it open? You can go and buy what you want?
No, it's not as good as in Germany in this way, but first time when you apply, you can apply for up to 10 weapons.
Okay.
And you
Right.
basically need to, in your application, you need to write more or less for what you will use that, or why you need so many, and then it's up to the head of the police to decide if he will give you 5 or 10 or whatever. So, but you can
And
later apply again after some years that you need more space and in your license. So
that's fantastic. Now, again, another thing, obviously, are you limited to just bolt actions, or can you still have a pistol still allowed, or can you have semi-automatic center fires?
we cannot use, how you call that,
Pistol.
we cannot use pistols. There was
Okay.
a window for that for a short time, but then it was not allowed again.
Okay.
So that's a shame. Basically, we can get all the weapons that are like well, how you say, described as you can be used as a hunting weapon.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah,
So
there's
if
like
it
a
ticks,
category.
yeah, if it ticks the box as a hunting tool, you can
Yeah,
basically have it apart from pistols. But
yeah.
that's pretty good going compared to sort of. And are sound moderators allowed in Poland?
That's actually a really ridiculous thing with it. Comparing to Sweden, for example, and the whole Scandinavia, because yes, we are allowed now to use suppressors, but
Okay.
only for wild boar hunting, and theoretically only for like fighting with African swine fever.
Right. Okay.
Because like many things got allowed actually because of the African swine fever and all the fighting with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like thermal and night vision also got allowed because of
Yep.
that, and then also the silencers. But it's ridiculous for me because I think it's the old guys that sit somewhere up there and decide about things like that, and their mentality that maybe if everyone will be allowed to use sound moderators all the time, then it will be like a lot of poaching or something, because they have an imagination that it works like a James Bond weapon,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
cannot hear. Is like you cannot hear anything, and because of that they allowed it just for wild boar hunting. So theoretically you are sitting in a high seat, and well, okay, you're thinking about, I will hunt wild boars tonight,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
but it's evening, it's still early, and the rollback comes out. You have a permission, you have everything. It's a good rollback to be taken down theoretically, and actually not only theoretically, to like follow the law and to do it right. You have to take out the silencer and
Yeah.
then shoot at the rollback, because otherwise you will do illegal thing.
Oh, good grief! Wow,
So
and yeah,
it is ridiculous for me.
makes no sense. And all these old boys are completely deaf, and they're like, "Pardon, what did you say? Speak
Yeah,
up!" Because
yes,
no, yeah, shooting full bore with no sound, and it's painful. It
yeah.
really does. And we've had guys on the hill, and I used to shoot a full bore rifle without a sound moderator, and you sit there and it hurts. It just everything hurts, rings, your ears ring, and you've got to remember to put earplugs in and things like that, and it's not much fun. Yeah. And
Yeah.
also it sound moderators also help with the recoil and the flip, muzzle flip and everything. So no, it may change, you never know. I think the Germans are coming round to it, so they seem to think it's better to have them.
Yeah, I think we are we are going in a good direction, but still I think there's many people that need to understand that it's mostly for your sake, for your ears, and for maybe your dog that is with you or something, to use that. It's not to hide something.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
other hand, it's also, I think, a good tool if you need to hunt close to a big, big cities or something, to not like make the people being affected so much, and maybe not do not provoke some conflicts or something. So
It certainly helps.
yeah, but no, but I think there's people imagining us to be James Bonds and doing it so silent, and so that's a really for me, like that subject, silencers, is the way it is solved in Poland is ridiculous. It's nice that we can use it for something, but why not to just use it,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you just said now, because obviously you're now not in Poland, you're now in Sweden. So again, it's completely different. Sound moderators are allowed, and it's probably a completely different world for your hunting now while you're there, I take it.
Yeah, well, here you actually look strange if you come without a silencer with you. You are,
Yes.
you are in the smaller group than in the, yeah. So here I think it's a normal thing, a must-have almost when you
Uh,
hunt.
yeah, it does seem to be that they've taken it on board, and I think they've realised that hearing's quite important, and your dog doesn't want to be deaf. So it doesn't. I don't think it really affects the game. If you're going to take the shot at the end of the day, if you're taking the shot, the deer doesn't mind, or the boar doesn't mind whether you've got a sound moderator on or not.
No, yeah, no, exactly.
So no, that it's really interesting to get a nice insight into a snippet of the law in Poland and how it all works, because there'll be lots of people listening that really have no idea, and they're so used to just know their law for their own country that they listen in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good to get somebody else's view.
Another thing that I think surprised everyone always is that we as hunters in Poland need to pay from our pockets, or like hunting club pockets, which means the same because we pay to the hunting club to be able to hunt, for all the damage that is done on the crops by
Really?
game.
Okay.
So it's
Wow.
not government, it's us.
So if you've got have you got a big wild boar problem in Poland?
Yeah. For example, then and there's a farmer that has a lot of cornfields on the hunting ground. Then there are hunting clubs that have a heart attack every year if they will be able to cover the costs of the damage.
So literally, you could be out there pretty much every night trying to shoot pigs that are causing damage to people's crops.
Yeah, there are, in some hunting clubs you have like a schedules, and people go. There must be someone every night, for example, going out in some specific places. But of course, it will never help 100%.
No, no, no,
So
no. But you were saying, because obviously we know each other through our connections with Pulsar, and you were saying now that thermal technology and things like that is now developed and is allowed again for the pigs and the swine fever and all the rest of it. So that has that now really taken off in Poland? Are more and more people moving to thermal?
of course, yes, a lot of people. First, it was a bit like I don't know why, but a few years ago when it started to be allowed, people felt ashamed to say that they are having it, they are using
Okay.
it, because hunting is such a like big old tradition in Poland.
Yes.
So the more traditional you are, the better. In some places, still, it's like an old mentality.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, if we look, I don't know, 100 years ago, they also have, used different equipment to hand, and then new things happen. And I think it's normal. It's always like that. It's like,
Yes.
when the rifle scopes appeared, it also was a new thing and probably not traditional and so on.
Absolutely. Taking away your iron sights and shooting only to
And
100
now,
meters.
show me a hunter who has a rifle and doesn't have a rifle scope, for example,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So it was a little bit like people were, I don't know, like having it but not saying that they have it. But
Okay.
then everyone knew that you have it, because if you go in the middle of the night, if it's not moonlight, right, and you shoot something, then okay, you probably have it.
Yeah.
Because we cannot like use a light, like some extra light to
Okay.
hunt. So so night
So
vision.
you're not allowed to have a day scope and then have a lamp and actually sort of light up the target.
No, you can only use that if you are looking for a wounded animal.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So
But
that's very common practice in the UK. I think we would go out and originally, before thermal and night vision, you'd use a lamp and you'd go foxing with it, or if you were doing deer management as well and you had the right license and you had what was called a night license, you'd need 3 people. You'd have a driver, you'd have a lamp operator, and you'd have the shooter. So yeah, that's really interesting that you're not allowed to basically lamp anything in Poland.
no, we are not. But now I think, I don't know how, I don't want to lie, but I would say most of the people have thermal or night vision at home.
Okay.
And we are also allowed now to hunt not only wild boars but also predators with it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So your foxes. So when you say predators, I just think foxes, but obviously I think you're probably allowed. Are you allowed to hunt badgers? And what else have you got on there?
Well, we have raccoons, raccoon dogs, badgers, fox. Is it mink? I think is
Mink. Okay. Yeah.
and so on. The marten. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have quite some, like, but the small predators, I was, you're right. We have some bears in Poland, but they are of course protected, and we have some lynx, but they are also protected, and then we have a wolf, which is also a very controversial subject in Poland right now.
I was just going to ask about that. Yeah.
Because I think we should hunt it in some way. We should start hunt it. It's on the red list right now.
Okay.
But the problem is the green organizations are keeping hand on the inventories.
Right.
So they are giving the same numbers for the wolf population for years, and it's ridiculous because we stopped hunting them in, I think, 80s or 70s, something like that, because of overhunting the population.
Yeah.
And basically back then you could find wolves only in one mountains in Poland, in the south.
Yep.
And now they are everywhere. They are in every part of Poland, and they are also in the very north where I hunt. And it's not one wolf that you have seen in 5 years, but it's the whole packs that you see.
I was gonna say then. So the numbers they're handing over, when they say there's only there's only 30 wolves and there's wolves in the whole country, it's like that wolf gets about a bit, must have a good bus pass.
Yeah. So it's that's really terrible, because we know the truth. We are out in the forest and in the fields, and we see what is happening, and we also see how it affected the behavior and the numbers of the other species. Obviously,
I was going to say it must have a massive effect on your game. If in your hunting territories and things like that, you must notice when you've got a wolf pack in that area with things disappearing or the numbers being low.
Yeah, not only about that. The first thing I have noticed on like my red deer hunting ground, they started going in a very big groups, very big. Like suddenly from like usual groups where, let's say, between 15 and 20, and then suddenly they started to be 100 in one,
right,
and so on, and then they started, maybe behaving like they used to in very old times, like, sleeping on a very big open spaces, for example.
Yeah.
And so on. So you could easily see something is wrong, something has changed.
That's really interesting. So you've seen like a massive shift in the deer going back to their basically their prey instinct of sleeping where they can see everything that's going on and working in big numbers.
Yeah, and also during the mating season, the stags are not roaring as crazy as they used to when I was a small kid, for example, and I was following my father.
Okay.
It was such a beautiful spectacle back then, but now it's much more silent.
Oh, okay, not to draw the attention. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have, had experience myself that I was actually guest hunting in a hunting club, and my father is really good at calling stags, so I wanted always to also learn. So I'm trying every year, and I had a caller with me, and the game leader has left me, and he said, wait here for like 15 minutes, and you can start walking there and so on. And I was like, okay, I will wait. So I will call and check if something responds to me. And nothing responded, but I heard branches breaking. So I thought, okay, there is something there. And then I was standing, and it was, early morning, and it's very foggy. And I actually thought like, oh, that's a really nice view to take a picture.
Right.
So I took my phone from the pocket, and then I looked in front of me on the road, forest road, and I saw something standing in front of me, and it was a wolf. So actually, he responded to my call. So he thought I'm a red stag, and he came directly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And have there been issues with the wolves actually coming in for hunters or hunters' dogs? Like I think in Sweden there's problems with hunters' dogs disappearing and things like that.
Yeah, there are dogs disappearing. There are dogs being attacked and so on. There are dogs being just taken from someone's garden also.
Right.
So we had a few years ago situation during a driven hunt where the dogs have like a special GPS collars and so on, and then we have seen that one dog is not coming back and something is wrong. And we actually have seen wolves in that drive. So the owner started looking, and that dog was lucky. I don't know how, but they took a skin of half of the dog. Actually, it was without a skin, but he was alive.
Wow.
So he was the dog was taken to the vet, and they have saved the dog. But I know in many other places they were finding just a collar with a head or with another part of the body. So
yeah, because I think I talked to a Swedish huntress, and she was saying now they're like putting armadillo jackets or almost like a jacket on the dog with nails sticking out of it. One, it's like bore protection, but two, it's the wolf won't go after it and things like that. It's crazy that you have to do that for your hunting dog.
Yeah, but again, Swedes are more able to to put their opinions like in the practice, I would say, because they are afraid of wolves. They don't want them to attack their dogs and so on, and every year they are able to shoot some down, to hunt some down, and in Poland it's a lot of things happening, not only for hunters but for people keeping, I don't know, fallow deer for meat purpose, or I don't know, sheep or whatever. And it's such a big fight every time to get a permission.
Yeah.
I know when I was studying, I was actually studying forestry, so it was also game management related and so on. And we had every year at our university something called Wolf Expedition, and it actually was basically going to the mountains and tracking big predators. And we had also meetings there with people like from the, I don't know, environmental organizations, and also like people responsible for that kind of things in the government and like in the local how do you say, yeah, like local offices.
Yeah.
And they were saying to us that if there is like a hybrid wolf or something, or like some very dangerous wolf that is getting too close to people and getting to their garden too often, or to the house even sometimes, because there were cases where the doors were open and they just got in.
Right.
Then after observing it for some time, they get the permission to shut it down, to hunt it down, but it's silent about that.
Okay.
Because they're so afraid about all those green organizations to sit on it.
It's crazy though, isn't it? And there's talk about bringing wolves back to Scotland because they think they'll manage the deer. And actually, the thing is, it's like, well, will they manage the deer or will they just eat everybody's sheep?
Yeah, exactly, because that will be easier.
Well, sheep don't really run away. Deer can clear the mountain and cover miles, whereas the sheep are just like, oh, what's that? Oh, there's another one gone, kind of thing. Yeah.
We had a first official court decision last year for, I think, shooting 1 or 2 wolves. And it was because the wolves attacked a big herd.
Right.
I cannot say now what was that, or it was a fallow deer or sheep or something. And the owner went to the court.
Right.
And won. And then there was a first official big, like, a decision that those wolves need to be taken down. And that was, huge thing in the media, of course.
I was going to say, blown out of proportion. Man kills wolf kind of thing. Oh, he didn't need to do it. It only wanted its dinner.
Yeah. So it is a difficult situation because those green organizations, have hand on wolves, and they are just being a pet.
But it takes us all the way back round to the full circle, right at the beginning of the conversation. The disconnect. The city folks see the wolves. It's the Disney effect. The wolf just stands on the hill and howls. It doesn't do anything bad, but it's like, well, actually, no. They get into packs and they can destroy everything. And then people see videos on the internet of a wolf coming in and taking somebody's dog. Oh, and the comments are like, well, why didn't they lock the dog up? It's like,
well, it's always someone's fault. It's not the wolf's fault. It's always someone else. It's always like that.
Yeah.
If someone got attacked by a wolf, it was also this person's fault, not the wolf's fault. Or a video of a red stag being attacked by a wolf, and they just cut that small moment where they are just standing next to each other, and there is a whole narration of like, oh, but you see, a deer and a wolf can be friends. And people really believe that, and they are resharing that and so on. And I mean, come on.
That thing's looking at its lunch going, you're quite tasty, I'll have you in a minute. And the stag's like, I'm not gonna give farewell. But then the stags were designed to fight this. But at the end of the day, the wolf is the apex predator, and you've seen the videos from Alaska and stuff like that. Those things are relentless when they hunt as packs. It's kind of scary because I think Italy's got problems again with wolves, and the numbers are increasing there. So at some point, I suspect they will appear back on the open list to be hunted, but probably highly regulated again, unfortunately.
But that's always something.
Yeah. We're always as hunters, we're still at the bottom of the pack. We don't have the rights of the general population. So that's interesting. So just changing that on, obviously we were talking about wolves there. It seems as though the wolves are all out to get us anyway, because it's social media and things like that. Do you have many issues being a female hunter in the world of social media?
Well, I think I used to, I used to care more about that when I started some years ago.
Right. Okay.
Because I had a mission to try to explain to everyone why I do that and so on. And yet there were cases where actually my friend that is also a female hunter, she got shared by a very well-known model from Poland.
Right.
And of course, there was a huge attack on her. And then if we were together on the pictures, of course, it went back to me. And then, it was so many people just like hating and writing terrible messages and like, you know, telling me they will kill me, they will find me and whatever, they will know which school is mine or where I live, and you know, stuff like that. And of course wishing me all the worst things, and it was of course the same but just much more to my friend. And back then I was scared, because you
Right.
never know. There is, you know, thousands of just people that are so brave in the internet, but you never know if there's not one being serious about that.
Yes.
Yeah, but later I think I got used to it. I started laughing at people like that commenting, because if you try to get a conversation with that kind of people, you often see they have no like real arguments, you know,
Yes.
in this fight. If you take statistics, if you take science, they are just, you know, silent. They have nothing to say. Oh, but you just kill animals and that's it, you know.
That's the usual story, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't know the science or the background to why
yeah.
we do what we do.
So then I started taking it easy, and I just, you know, if something like that happens, I just block those people right away. And
Okay.
since then, I don't care. For a few years now, I really don't care. I just know that what I do is, it's all right, it's good, and I'm proud of being a hunter. And I'm also not afraid to say that I'm a hunter, to admit that I'm a hunter somewhere in a group, because I know many people, because of all that hate, are sometimes like, okay, maybe I will just sit quiet, but no, not me. I
Good.
think it's nothing to, you know, be ashamed about. So it's
No.
we have such a big knowledge and so on, and it's good to share that with others. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you can sit in a group and just explain that to, say, 10 people, and one person walks away with, oh, I didn't realize that, I've learned something there, then you're doing your job, and that's it. Whereas if you sit quietly, that's 10 people that walk away have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. And it's even better, uh, like if, you know, some group of people know you for some time, but you haven't had a chance to talk about your private life that much.
Yeah.
And then you meet for, I don't know, drink or something, and people know that you're a good person and so on, that, you know, I love dogs and all the animals and stuff like that. And then when they get to know that I'm a hunter, that's a, you know, totally different reaction. Okay, so they are actually normal people. All right, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, fantastic. No, but that's really good. And I'm kind of glad that obviously all the hate and everything like that hasn't put you off and hasn't stopped you doing your passion, because you do think that, I think some people are driven completely away from it and they give up purely because they've had so much stress from social media that they either shy away from it and disappear completely off the world of the internet, or they actually stop the thing they enjoy doing.
Yeah, well, it is tough. No,
It is.
nowadays, right? It can be really tough, but I also, you know, I had that period where I really took it seriously and so on. But you learn by time to react differently. But also, it's not only those anti-hunters that are a problem. I think sometimes it's also actually the hunters themselves that can, you know, attack each other on every small detail that you say, right, or do, and take it out of the context. So that can be also sometimes a problem, actually.
That doesn't help. And that was sort of one of the questions is, as a female hunter, do you find that you get more people in the hunting community picking on you, saying, oh, you shouldn't have done it that way, or you need to do it this way, and things like that?
Uh, it's more like, of course, there is many people that are like, great, like we actually need more females to,
Yeah.
so the others behave better around, and so we're doing
Yeah.
that with hands or so. But of course, I think that, I don't know, so for some people it is, I think, painful to see that actually a female can manage the same or better, you know. But it's some specific bad people with some bad mentality, I think, because
Well,
I get comments and so on, especially when I started with YouTube. So there you can, you know, people watch a bit more of my hunting and so on. yeah, oh, for sure you haven't taken that boar to the car yourself, or oh, for sure you haven't taken out the guts yourself. Like if it would be something that complicated that only man can do that, Yeah.
But I think what the fear is the female hunter is she's the life bringer, but she's also the life taker away. So at the end of the day, do you need the man? Well, no, not really. I can do it all myself. So maybe it's the fear that actually suddenly the guy is like, well, hang on a minute, if they can do all of this, where's the position for us in this party anymore?
Maybe. Well, most often their reactions are really good and so on, and of course there will be always some sad people
Yes.
sitting
Yeah.
somewhere, because come on, if there is a comment like, oh, but for sure you couldn't take that red stag yourself from there to the car, and I'm like, can you do that? Because often it doesn't matter if you're a female or male. If you have a body that can help you, you would just do that. Come on, you want
Absolutely.
to have a healthy back also, and so on. So come on, it's not, but they like to do that, like, oh, he can for sure do that himself, but oh, she cannot because she's a female. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't want to I don't like dragging stags, and at the end of the day, when you've got someone that weighs 114 kilos, if I can get help to pull that off the hill, happy days. You can help me
Yeah,
pull it off the hill because I don't particularly want to do it. I want my back to last a bit longer.
exactly. And why should be something bad about like helping each other also, if you're together or like hunting next to each other and you meet anyways at the end, to say hi and talk about how it was
Exactly,
tonight or
and
something.
it's sharing that experience. It's the best part. So let's move on to my sort of last topic, which is going to be: have you got any exciting hunts planned for this year, or with the start of the season coming for you?
Yes, as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, I am counting down to half September
Okay,
and going back to Poland for a week or hopefully even two for red deer mating season.
fantastic. So
To
have
hunt
you got
red
a
deer.
space on your hunting card that says you can have a tip, particular stag this year?
Um, well, I have few permissions, and they allow me to both hunt like a younger and older stag. So
Oh, very good.
whatever happens. It's also my special thing with my father every year. So he also every year plans, free from work for that time, holidays, which is maybe not the best for my mom, but I think she
Yes.
got used to it. And yeah, I'm hoping to be able to listen to them a lot and to maybe find that perfect style for me.
Oh, fantastic! That sounds like it's going to be a great bit of time, especially because you can share it with your father. I think that probably it just makes it really good, and the memories that you'll do there are memories you'll cherish forever, kind of thing. So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So that's it. And then well, it's maybe more like I'm waiting for some friends to come here and actually visit me to hunt in Sweden, for example.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, absolutely.
so I have been some time ago actually in the UK, in England,
Right.
to visit Mark stops, and now
Okay.
I
Yeah.
am waiting for him to come here and hunt wild boars with me.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
So it's also nice to be able to exchange some experiences and like between countries. I think it's awesome. So
I think that's the best thing. I think I've talked about it a few times, like swap hunts. If you can find somebody to do a swap hunt with, and you can share your hunting ground with them, and they can come and share the same back, then actually that's brilliant because you suddenly get to see how the hunt occurs in a different country, and you get to experience the whole thing. And it's not like going there and going, well, I'm going to go and pay for this day, but I don't really know what I'm going to expect. Whereas if you actually go with somebody that you know, it's such a different it's more pleasurable.
yes, I say the same thing. If you really have a chance to just visit a friend somewhere
Yep.
and join, that's totally different experience. than just going for a commercial hunting. I don't say it's bad, because often there are also professionals that take you out, and you will get also a really good experience. But it's always different if you just go, to a friend, meet the family, also eat the typical food, and just really do see the real hunting, right? Like,
yes, and you have a laugh, and you have a laugh. That's the most important part. And even if you don't pull the trigger, it's sometimes just having the laugh is probably one of the best days. Yes, absolutely. Yes, fantastic. So it sounds like you've got a busy season coming up, which is going to be good fun. We'll look forward to seeing that coming up on your social media, or I'm assuming you're on. You said you got YouTube. I'm assuming you're on Insta or Facebook as well.
Yeah.
So if people want to follow on and have a look at what you get up to, then there's that. And you're also one of the pro staff for Pulsar, so we can keep our eyes open for you reviewing kit and things like that in the future.
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty good there. So thank you ever so much for coming on and sharing your experience of hunting in Poland.
Thank you for inviting me, or for giving me that chance.
No, absolutely wonderful. And if anybody's got any questions or anything like that, you can either message me, drop them to Julia, ask away. If there's something that's really interested you there, even possibly you want to go hunting in Poland, we can probably answer questions for you to get something organized.
Yes, of course.
Superb. Well, thank you very much for your time, and we'll finish it there.
Thank you.
So thanks for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. I certainly did. Found a bit more about it, hunting in another part of the world. We probably should start talking again about show season. I know it's finished at the moment, but the next one on the calendar for me, and it won't be far away, will be that stalking show. So keep your eyes and ears open. There'll be more stuff coming either on the social feeds or on these podcasts. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next one.